Welcome to episode 1 of my podcast. This is Kevin Roberts, and for the last 30 years, I've been helping people with learning challenges. ADHD, dyslexia, anxiety, test anxiety, verbal, nonverbal learning issues, processing issues, etc. Now, I'm not coming here to talk to you about learning issues. What I am here for is to tell you that it used to be a small percentage of people that had learning challenges. And what I'm seeing with our increasing reliance on phones, with our increasing reliance on screens, that wider and wider and wider swaths of our entire population is having learning challenges. Now, I'm going to tell you a few examples right now of what I see that leads me to this conclusion. And by the way, I'm not just here to rant and to say screens are bad. I'm here because I will be giving you solutions and I will be guiding you to change the situation for yourself and for your family. Because I'm telling you, what we're dealing with is we're dealing with raising an entire generation that's not really learning. I had a study group yesterday and I had a young lady there, and I saw something that I had never seen before. There's a website, I'm not even going to mention it because I don't want to give them free advertising. For a monthly subscription, I think it was $25. They will guide you, there's an AI assistant that they have, who guides you on configuring your computer to their website. If you're doing an online course for school, a lot of kids are doing that nowadays, guess what? Their website will watch all your videos. Their website, the AI on their website, and they also use other sites, will answer the questions based on those videos. They will take the tests for those courses, and it's so tricky, so deceptive, that they won't just have the answers shared and completed fast. They'll stagger it. So they will stagger their responses in time so that it looks like a human actually did it. And so I learned about this because this young woman felt terrible that she was considering doing that. And luckily I talked her out of it because she would learn nothing. And then you ask yourself, well, how is this preparing her for her future? It's not. She is essentially learning nothing. The only thing she is learning is that you can go out to the internet and you can get artificial intelligence to do all your work so you don't have to do anything. You know, a lot of us are so engaged by TikTok. We're so engaged by Reels that a lot of us don't watch movies anymore. And here's one of the huge things that I am concerned about. We don't read. Fewer and fewer people read. Young people don't read anymore. Now, I hope that some of you watching are English teachers, because let's say you have a group of 11th grade students and you've assigned F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby. Well, I'm here to tell you that about 90% of your class will not be reading it. Now, of course, we know this is an old story. Kids have always struggled to read literature, but now what they're doing is they'll go to AI and they'll put in something like Great Gatsby Chapter 1, give me a summary, and then give me a series of questions that the teacher might ask. That's it. And then some of them will read the summary. They might do the questions that are generated by AI. They might just look at the answers. They're not going to answer the questions, and that's it. Now, here's the problem. You may say, well, what's the problem with that? As long as they're doing well on the test or the quiz, that's okay. But you see, you remember from my childhood, reading is fundamental. Reading is fundamental. So if we don't read, we are preventing our brain from fully developing. When you are just reading summaries, when you are just reading a list of AI-generated questions, you're not getting the crosstalk between both hemispheres of the brain. It's a very limited task. And so we are raising young people who have very limited brain power, and it's only going to get worse. What kinds of things are we going to see? Well, we're going to see people with problems of critical thinking. we're going to see people who have problems paying attention to one thing with singular focus over a long period of time. Guess what mental health condition that's a very strong and principal part of? Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. This is why I am saying that our reliance on the phones, our reliance on the screens, and now our reliance on artificial intelligence, this is creating a society that has focus issues. It's creating a society that's not learning how to persist through mundane or intense or difficult tasks. It is a society that I think is really finding that its intellectual and cerebral development is stunted. 15 years ago, I wrote a book called Cyber Junkie, Escape the Gaming and Internet Trap. It sold about 80,000 copies, published by Hazelden. You can still get it on Amazon. But when I wrote that was because I was a screen addict. I was a video game addict, and I realized that the video game behavior was really a distraction so that I wouldn't have to feel my anxiety. I've had a real serious anxiety issue my whole life. That's what I use to sort of temporarily deal with my anxiety. But I'm going to tell you something. When I wrote it in 2010, the screen addiction and the video game addiction wasn't a real serious issue like it is now. But let me tell you, the title was Cyber Junkie, Escape the Gaming and Internet Trap. Well, let me tell you, we're still trapped. In fact, as a society, we are trapped, we are imprisoned even more than we were in 2010 when that book first came out. So I'm here because I don't want to just rant about this, but with this podcast, I'm going to wade into technology. I'm going to wade into artificial intelligence, and I'm going to help you figure out what you need to do to use the most of your brain power to access and develop your own talents and make sure that those things happen with your loved ones. Because I'm going to tell you, it's getting worse and worse and worse. And by the way, if you're an English teacher, 80 to 90% of your students are using AI to do their essays. They're not just using AI once, though. They'll go to one AI, maybe ChatGPT, they'll do the initial essay. Then they will copy and paste that into another AI, and they'll say, dumb this down. Then they'll go to a third AI, and they'll say, please check to make sure that this doesn't sound like AI. I mean, this is what they're doing. So they're learning the skills of deception, but they're not learning how to write. Now, you may think, well, what's the big deal? I hated writing in school, too. When I have to take in, synthesize, and analyze information, and then logically regurgitate it on the page and prove my points, guess what that does? It trains the brain in logic. It trains the brain in critical thinking. And that's why I am really worried about our future, not just in this country, but the whole world. So please keep coming back, because I am an expert in cyber addiction, screen addiction, and because I have devoted myself partially, that's one of the things I've devoted myself to, helping young people succeed in school and adults. I see the misuse of artificial intelligence, and it really concerns me. So keep coming back. I'm going to give you tools and skills to help deal with this problem so that you and yourself get the most out of your brain, get the most out of your talents, and that you have the tools and the understanding to help your young person do those things too. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.